Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Senate Committee on Government Operations meeting. Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. And with us is Representative Burrows and also Sophie Zadotny. We're going to look at S89. This was sent over to the House a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And they have sent back a strike all and have included some new language. So I just wanted to make sure that the committee hears this. I doubt very much, based on the calendar, whether we'll get to this tomorrow, but we might. So I just want to be prepared if we do. So welcome back, and you can let us know what you did to change the original bill.
Well, for the record, my name is Representative Elizabeth Burrows, and I represent Windsor 1, which is Heartland, West Windsor, and Windsor. Obviously, Windsor Council. So we've had a lot of discussion in our committee about bigger changes that we could make, but we wound up making a few little small tweaks. And here they are, and I invite Sophie to correct me if I am mistaken in enumerating these. One was that we made it prospective for claims that are made only after July 1st of this year.
Good idea.
We included a provision that allows the emergency board to replenish funds should they run out while the legislature is not in session.
I think we have that in ours.
No, we talked about
Yeah,
it,
we discussed
decided
it.
because we
Okay.
were opening it up.
I stand corrected. Sorry.
And we added the possibility of adding funding for medical expertise for the board's determinations in occupation related illnesses. And then we added some definitions, including what is the line of duty.
Yes, we had a whole bunch of conversations about that.
And to make it easier for us and clarify it.
We did, well, Sophie did.
Sophie did.
That's it. Am I missing it? I think that's it.
I can.
Okay. Yes, Senator White.
I just asked generally on the line of duty piece. You said you clarified it and
Then we didn't just ask.
you didn't change it.
No, it's the same version that came out of the Senate on the line of duty.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you got that wrong.
Okay. Never mind then, because we kind of circled around on that. So I was like, wait a minute, if you guys figured that out, that would be helpful. So it's still the same, which means that there might still be concerns related to, I think the concern was if you were someone maybe working in an administrative position, and it was expanded, like someone who was in VCF and you had a heart attack on the job. What would would that be considered the line of duty?
The benefit wouldn't apply to them the way we set up the bill. The benefit only applied to frontline workers.
Okay,
Right.
so, but I guess maybe, let me rephrase, then like a frontline worker who has a heart attack, in the line of duty, which may have been unrelated.
Well, nonetheless, we would allow a law enforcement officer who was killed in a car crash in the line of duty, like the way that you envision the line of duty is as flexible as any circumstance that you can imagine. I made our committee explore not positions, but scenarios, and having the benefit be given to people involved in particular scenarios. So for example, if a translator was riding along and a scenario occurred, the translator's family could receive that benefit. We decided, because there are all kinds of different scenarios that are related to professions, and do we really want to expand the professions versus the causes? And we decided to just keep it as simple as possible and stay with what you sent us. And
Okay,
We
great.
can revisit it at another time if we want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's our language to define line of duty. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's probably 7 or 8 different provisions inside that. I'm looking at the calendar from Friday, which has the proposal amendment. So as Representative Earl said, if it was a translator that was just sort of riding along, he or she would not necessarily come into this.
Right.
But certainly if it's a fire person and they're answering the call, if it's a law enforcement person, they're answering the call, all of that does. And then with respect to Department of Corrections, if they're frontline providing security for those residents, that will come into play. Anyway, we can talk about the line of duty, but the amendment, and I do like it. We just never thought about it, I guess, is making it effective beginning July of 2026, and also allowing that board to employ a medical professional to determine, I don't want to say legitimacy, but maybe that's what it is, that this claim should be awarded. And I'll just remind the committee again, the board has to be unanimous in its decision to award the 80,000. It isn't like it's a majority vote, it's a unanimous decision. So I think we built certain guardrails into it. I remember when we were talking about the bill, this isn't something, thankfully, that happens even yearly. It's been a number of years since this happened. If I recall, the research I did had to do, because right now it's just fire people that get this coverage. There's been I guess there's been one in 10 years. If I remember, I might be off by.
Very, very few.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to find this amendment. Where is it?
It's in today's calendar. S89. It was on the last bill up for action.
So it's not in our committee bills. It is in the Senate calendar.
Correct. Senator White.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so it does cover law enforcement though, as well.
Well, this bill would expand it to that.
Yes, but so I guess the way I've been thinking about it is less who has been covered, but who would have been covered retroactively. And we did have a recent death in the line of duty for a law enforcement provider. So yeah, so I hear what you're saying around so few. I do think we may actually see one a year at a greater.
And this would not allow that film if it was after July 1st this year.
Yeah.
Jessica Ebbinghausen her family would not be included, unfortunately. Senator Mihoski.
I think we heard from the treasurer, looking at it the way you are thinking, Senator White, sort of if these people had been covered over the past 10 years, and I believe they testified that it would have just been, was it 3?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it was very few.
It is very few. I mean, and certainly my hope would be that much like what we saw happen with the death in Rutland, a full investigation happened, they figured out kind of what the problem was. I don't know that they have sort of worked to rectify that, but my hope would be that anytime we have a death in the line of duty, that we are evaluating and learning from that situation to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, the after action review.
Yeah, something like that.
I can assure you, well, maybe that's a strong word. I am pretty sure that the administration of the police department has changed since then. And there were very unfortunate lessons learned out of all of that. And if Chief Prouty, Matt Prouty's now the chief of police, if he has his way, people will follow orders. So, thank you, Representative Burrows. We appreciate your
You're
efforts.
quite welcome.
And Sophie, if you want to come up, in case there are any technical questions about what House General has added to this, I think.
So it's hard to sort of see what I hate to ask, but maybe Sophie, as you go through this, you could just, it's not obviously highlighted in the Senate calendar, so.
If you look at section 2,
Okay, section.
those are the changes.
I can put it up on the screen.
Okay,
So
we've got it here.
Sophie Zadatny for the Office of Legislative Counsel. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
awesome. Thank you.
So, and I've highlighted what the changes are. So again, the definitions have not changed from when this left the Senate. So again, emergency personnel, the current two categories of firefighters, emergency medical personnel. The four new categories are law enforcement officers, facility employees of the Department of Corrections, and their employees who provide direct security and treatment services to offenders under supervision in the community. Classified family services employees in the Family Services Division of DCF, and classified medical employees of state-operated therapeutic community residences or inpatient psychiatric hospital units. So none of that has changed. And then the line of duty, the changes that came out of the Senate, none of these have changed either. So again, it goes through for each of the new categories what the line of duty would be. So then we get into the changes. So this is under section 2. This adds, makes changes to section 3172 of the Emergency Personnel Survivors Benefit Review Board. And really there's just two, just quickly, there were just really two changes that were made in House General. So one was the prospective, that those four new categories of employees, it would apply for deaths that occur on or after July 1 of this year. And that was a concern on the fiscal front as to, how many claims could come out of the woodwork, so to speak. And so that made folks on the House side be more comfortable from a financial perspective that this would be prospective for these four new categories. And then the other change is around, which I think this committee had begun to hear about, but around the Treasurer's request for some additional resources to help with occupation-related illnesses. So subsection A got broken up. If you look in the current statute, it's a big chunk of language. And so in general and housing, this just got broken up into sort of its component pieces. And then this underlined language here is new. So this provides that, this is the key language, right? Survivors of emergency personnel employed by or who volunteer for the state of Vermont, a county or municipality of the state, or a nonprofit entity that provides services in the state who die in the line of duty or of an occupation-related illness may request the board award a monetary benefit under section 3173 of this chapter, except survivors of emergency personnel as defined in the subdivisions under the definition section. So these are the four new categories. May request the monetary benefit only for deaths that occur on or after July 1, 2026. So that's the prospective piece. And then the second piece here is that to assist the board with applications involving deaths from occupation-related illness, so not the line of duty where usually that's pretty straightforward, but the occupation-related piece, the board may pay reasonable fees from the Emergency Personnel Survivors Benefit Special Fund for a medical expert and other services as necessary to review applications and make recommendations to the board. So the testimony from the Treasurer's Office is that the most recent claims, and I believe there were 4 of them, have all involved firefighters, and they have generally involved occupation-related illnesses. And what they've been doing is looking at the workers' compensation laws to determine if it's an occupation-related illness or not. And on the House side, we did look at a whole series of, there are a number of presumptions under workers' compensation law as to when something is considered an occupation-related illness. And for firefighters, given how toxic the environment is that they work in, for example, there's a list of things. So if you die of certain types of cancer within 5 years, then it's presumed to be an occupation-related illness. If you die of any cancer within 10 years of service, it's presumed to be an occupation-related illness. That's specific to firefighters. And then there are other presumptions around if you have a heart attack within 72 hours as a police officer or a firefighter, that's presumed to be, work-related. So on the House side, they looked at what the different presumptions are on the workers' compensation piece. And my understanding is that that's typically the Treasurer's Office who provides support to the board that makes these determinations. They're typically looking at workers' compensation laws to figure out when something is occupation related. But again, they also want the ability to be able to use some of the funds to pay for reasonable fees for a medical expert or other expert testimony to make sure that they're making the correct decisions on applications that they receive. So no changes to the rest of the language in that section. It's just broken up. So again, now we've got subdivision 4 and 5. And then, when this bill came out of the Senate, it provided, there was a floor amendment that added in that, the emergency board can transfer money into the fund when the General Assembly is not in
Right.
session.
Yeah.
Right, and so this includes the highlighted language here is the additional language, and this is just again tying back in to the ability of the board to use some of the funds to pay for medical expert or other services. So this language just provides expenses incurred pursuant to subdivision 3172A3, which is the one we just looked at, shall be paid from the fund. So those were really the two changes, was one prospective and two giving the treasurer's office or the board through the treasurer's office some flexibility when they're looking at those occupation related illness claims.
There's no presumption, I don't think, that if a workers' compensation decision had been made, that automatically would mean that the death benefit would carry forward too?
So my understanding from what the treasurer's office explained was that in looking at some of those recent cases involving firefighters, and I think at least a couple of them involved cancers, was they just looked at what the workers' compensation statute provides. And there are these presumptions in favor of finding that it's covered by workers' compensation. So it's occupation related. And so therefore they found that those were covered benefits.
But they could decide the other way too.
Yes.
Presumably they could, yes.
Okay. I just didn't want to tie the two together.
No, it's just, I think I think some of the questions that have come up is what happens if someone, has a cancer that's in one of these other categories. And it's like, they would still have to establish that that was occupation related. Similarly for firefighters, if they smoke or they've got something else, the employer can
Something
still,
that exacerbates.
they can still contest it. It's not like a given, it's just the presumption is in favor of finding that it's compensable.
So it is a rebuttable presumption.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very good.
It's almost like I serve on the judiciary committee in the morning.
And used to.
You could read for the bar.
I'm not sure if serving on the judiciary committee counts as my.
Oh, you do have to take anything.
That or somehow made some of it count.
I wish, again, just on a personal note, that we could include Jessica's family, in this, but,
Well, why couldn't we?
well, because it's
I
3
mean-
years ago.
I mean, but why couldn't we say with the special dispensation for availability for,
But then we also include Laura Sobel's family.
Yeah, and I think that there are a lot of people would include it, but she was compensated, I hope, from the federal benefit, which is much more substantial.
maybe, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, I don't know how we would find that information out, but I guess I guess what I would say is I understand the argument of, well, if we give this to one person, why not others? I do think that,
How far back do you go?
and I think
That's the question.
my bright line would be 3 years, so.
Yeah, the federal benefit is 461.
Yeah, so that was significant.
Yeah, so hopefully the family did apply for that.
Okay.
Any questions for, Attorney Zadotny or Representative Burrows?
No, thank
Or
you.
Tom Applenauer or anyone else? Representative Howard? I don't think we have any problems with the amendment.
I think you guys did good work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would certainly support concurring with the House.
Yeah.
ditto. And I'll stand up and indicate so, and then we'll take it up.
Who reported this? Was this?
I did.
You did.
Or you can.
I can, I'm happy to.
Right.
Yeah, just the two changes, the date change and then the ability of the board to employ a medical, like, to decide. Sorry, hold on, decide. That's important too. That medical person doesn't have the final say. It's still the board
Right.
that has to unanimously vote.
It just gives the board the ability to, I mean, if they're making difficult decisions around whether something or
Yeah.
not is an occupational related illness, they've got some resources to
Yeah.
help.
Okay. Anything else?
On this bill? No, I think that's a good, thank you.
Well, it's another easy day, folks.
No.
Well, we still have animal welfare.
Thank you.
Need to take up tomorrow and then we're.
Thank you.
I want you to give you some of our time to your morning.
Oh, man, I would be so grateful to you for that.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you so much. You know, I worked with Jessica Ebenhausen's dad, and he just passed away last year.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Oh,
You're very welcome.
tough time.
Okay, if there's nothing else to come before the committee, we'll adjourn for the day and see all of you.